We have 2.3 to 2.6 billion Christians in the world, making it the largest religion. But here is a striking thing about this unprecedented number of Christians. There are six categories of Christians, and I want us all to be true to ourselves. Let's look out for what category we fall into. Of course, only God truly knows hearts. First Samuel chapter 16 verse 7 says, men look at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. So any categorization is simply descriptive, not condemnatory. It is meant to awaken us and not to accuse us. So the first category of Christians we have here are those ablaze, the fully surrendered, that is the remnants. As in Romans chapter 12, verse 11, the Bible said that they are fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. They are often categorized by their deep love for Christ, their deep love and commitment to Christ, not just Christianity. They have strong grasp of scripture and obedience to it. They are often prayerful, sacrificial, disciplined. They live for the glory of God, not for convenience. And also, they are willing to lose reputation, comfort, or gain for the sake of Christ. Now, okay, to be real, they are visible in impact, but they are few in numbers actually. They are often misunderstood, sometimes resisted even by other Christians. This include missionaries, intercessors, reformers, quiet, faithful saints. And of course, we have examples, right? We have very clear examples. Number one, Christ, of course. Paul, early apostles, Stephen, Daniel, you know, as in Matthew chapter 25, the wise virgins, they are actually categorized as the remnants. The number two category we have the active but inconsistent, the active but inconsistent Christians, the many. They are actually called the many. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. That is the scripture that is used to describe. That is in Matthew chapter 26, verse 41. Of course, Jesus said that. Now, they are often categorized by their genuineness as believers. They are genuine believers. They have sincere faith. They serve God, attend church, love to worship God, but the struggle with consistency and discipline. They are passionate, you know, but their passion rises in seasons, fades in others. It can be cold in some season and then they fade out in other seasons, often pulled between devotion and distraction. Something is distracting them and something, and they find a way of devoting themselves, and something else is still distracting them. So they are just mostly in between. This is likely the largest group globally, the largest group of Christians globally. This is it. They love God but haven't fully died to self. Hmm. Growth is real but slow. They are slow in growing due to compromise or business. They always have excuses. I am busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. They find suitable reasons to compromise and justify their compromise with their excuses, or sometimes can even feel sorry for the excuse and the compromise they made. But they did has been done, they did has been done, and it's a circle. It happens from time to time. An example of this can be seen with Peter before the cross. He denied Jesus. He was, of course, he would be fervent. He would, he would say things, I can never leave you. I cannot betray you. That is Peter speaking, but when the time comes, he denies Jesus and run. You know, of course, in the Bible, also the Galatian church. You know, Martha, Martha, also Mary's sister. She was busy but anxious. She welcomed Jesus, but did not really have time for what really mattered. But she loved Jesus. She welcomed him, but she was busy. Okay, number three. The number three we have here the knowledgeable Christians, but cold. The trained, those are the trained yet lukewarm. They are trained to be Christians. They are knowledgeable of God, but they are lukewarm, like lukewarm. You know, in Second Timothy chapter 3, verse 5, it is said that they have a form of godliness, but deny its power. As in Second Timothy chapter 3, verse 5. They are often categorized by strong theological language, biblical knowledge, sound. They know doctrines, can debate scriptures, but little prayer life, little inner fire. Christianity becomes intellectual, not transformational. It is often critical. Let it is less compassionate. They don't feel any fire. They don't have any fire within them, but the knowledge is boom. So it is common in academic, institutional, or long time church setting. You know, they are mostly the head of religious institutions. You know, they have been there for years. They know everything. They know doctrines. They know how to quote scriptures and all. So they are head full, but heart dry. That is a way of describing this category of Christians. They can influence many while being inwardly stagnant. They can influence and push others to righteousness. They can say a lot of things. They know how to say a lot of things, a lot of pushy things. They influence a lot of people, but they personally they are inwardly stagnant. That is what that category that is a way to describe those in that category. And of course, examples can be the Pharisees. Yes, the Pharisees. The church in Ephesus, Revelation chapter 2, verse 4, talks about the church in Ephesus. You have left your first love, you are neither cold nor hot, God even threatened to spew them out. Okay, number four, the cultural nominal Christians, the crowd. As the cultural, I was born Christian, the crowd. Isaiah chapter 29, verse 13. These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts is far from me. So sad. That is Isaiah chapter 29, verse 13, describing the cultural Christians, the nominal Christians. They are often categorized by their identity. They identify as Christians by culture, family, or nation. We are nation. This nation is we are Christians, or I was born from a Christian home, stuff like that. Yeah, that they are identity based. They attend church. Church attendance is social or occasional. Yes, it is just merely a social occasional thing. Little personal devotion, prayer or scripture life is sparingly. Christianity is a label, not a life, just a label. I was born a Christian, more like saying I was born blind. They are just helpless. I was born blind. I was born a Christian, so that is who I am. Not having any intimacy with God. So they are numerically very large, often assume they are spiritually healthy. They just assume it. They don't they they are not spiritually healthy. They just assume they are. They are vulnerable to deception and shallow faith. Very vulnerable to be swayed and tossed to and fro. Examples can be the crowds who follow Jesus for bread. Yes, the crowd that always follow Jesus whenever he's going around preaching just because of the benefit of the bread, not because they really want to hear any preaching. This man can do miracles. Let's see the next miracle he would perform. Not because they really want any inner transformation. Of course, those who said, Lord, Lord, in Matthew chapter 7, verse 21, Lord, 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 but their hearts are far away from him. Number five, the sleeping or drifting, almost absent. They are sleeping, they are gone. Okay, let me not say they are gone, all right, but they are sleeping, they are drifting, almost absent. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14 said, awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead. That is a clear demonstration of this category of Christians. They are often characterized by once active, they were once active, now disengaged. Like they are not, in fact, you can't even see them in gatherings. They were once here, they used to be a part of, the church, but now they're just facing their lives. Faith exists actually, but buried under life pressures, just like the parable Jesus gave. They have been choked with thorns and a lot of issues about life. But they have faith. Their faith exists. If you meet them one day, they can say something about God, but they're just buried under life pressure, prayerless, wordless, disconnected. When you try to relate with them, they don't show signs of fervency, they don't show any sign of Christianity. But if they want to say something about, if they decide or if they are pushed to say something about God, they would actually say something that is faith related, not rebellious, just spiritually dumb. They have not rebelled to say, we don't want anything to do with God, I don't want to be a Christian or this or that. They are just spiritually dumb. They are numb spiritually. They're just facing life and facing all the pressures of life and you know touched off up and down. So they are often wounded, tired, or disappointed. They are always saying, they are always complaining. They are always saying, why would God allow us to suffer? I'm just so tired of this. That full of murmuring complaints like the children of Israel in the wilderness. God is still calling them back, and they know God is always calling them back, but they have just decided to be numb. For they always have a way of saying, for the meantime, let me just, this group needs restoration, not condemnation. So that is one thing about them. They know they need to be restored, right? Example, Samson, asleep on the Delilah's lap. He knows that is not where he should be, but he feels he just can't help it. They know there is a there is a stake upon their life. There is something their life is worth in the hands of God, but they just don't know how to go about it. The prodigal son, before returning, he knows he came from a home where his father needs him back. Well, before he returns, he just feels lavishing, living lavish is what in it. All right. So, and number six, lastly, we have the not yet regenerated. Yes, not yet. They have not even, this category of Christians, they have not even come to a place of being regenerated, encountering Christ. Christian is name only, just name. Call me Christian. What's your religion? I'm a Christian. That's it. You must be. John chapter 3, verse 7, when Jesus encountered one of them, of course, Nicodemus, was talking about you must be born again. These are people that must be born again. Before we even begin to talk about further spiritual facts about how to lead their lives, to please God and all, they must be born again. They are often charac- characterized by um their churchgoers. Without spiritual rebirth, they have not been born again. They are just churchgoers. Morally, they they are without transformation. Their morality is still based on the world's manner of pattern, way of thinking. No hunger for God, no conviction of sin. They are just there doing their own thing. Christianity is external, not internal. It is not yet internal. It is just something like, and that is what they understand. That is what they understand. These categories actually exist within churches. Yes, often indistinguishable outwardly, like they are they you can't actually see them and say they are not Christians. They go to church, so outwardly you may not really know whether they are born again or not. And this is the most the most dangerous state. They always have deceived assurance. These are people that can argue with you that I'm a Christian and wouldn't want to listen to you, like when you are trying to tell them that it is not just about going to church. It's not just about being part of a local assembly, or maybe paying of doing all the dues, doing all you're supposed to do. It's not just about keeping laws. These are people that this is actually those that have deceived assurance. Example: Judas Iscariot. Yeah. He was among the disciples, but he was just there. Another example is the foolish virgins in Matthew chapter 25. Okay, so we must understand that this description is not a ladder of pride where we should now begin to look at ourselves and say, there are people better than we are better. Of course, I'm better off. Or you begin to look at yourself and say, I'm better off. I am better than this person, or I'm better than that person. All right. It is a mirror of self examination. The real question is not even what category am I in, but to examine ourselves and see, God, I know you are calling me further. You are calling me forth. You are asking me to come, to approach you, to come closer to you, because He is always calling us to, to advance in our intimacy with Him. The beautiful thing about this is that movement is possible. The gospel is not static. Even someone that is asleep can be awake, and even the lukewarm person, the lukewarm heart can born again. And all this description, all this categorization is merely to give us a breakdown to understand where we are and where we must be. Now, today, we must understand that God has always wanted us to be in the center, at the place of fire, the place of fervency, the holiest of holies. That is where we must abide, in the heart of God. Now, today we have to understand that God is not calling us to be nominal. God is calling us to be the remnants, the holy remnants, those that born, those that give themselves to God in totality. So these categories is to remind us of where we belong, of where Christ intended us all to be. That is our place, a place of fire, a place of fervency, a place where we are committed to Jesus. We are committed to serving Him with everything in us, all the energy, all the zeal, all the passion. We must be on fire for God. Yes, we must be on fire. If we must serve God, we must serve Him on fire. Yes, He wants no place for nominality. He wants no place for lukewarmness. He wants us to be on fire. We must serve God in a rush, as if there is no tomorrow.